Hey everybody, it is 1:30 in the afternoon on Friday, February 26, 2021. I'd love to take a look at the stock market with you guys today. I'm going to take a look at the S&P 500. I'm going to be doing an Elliott wave from almost scratch, just to kind of rehash for those of you that this may be the first time, or maybe you are part of the Discord and you're working on learning Elliott wave, which we are, working on teaching here. And so, of course, before we get into any of this, not financial advice, not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your risk, doing your own research. I'm just giving my opinion on the market. And again, we're going to be taking a look at the S&P 500. We're going to be taking a look at Nasdaq, and I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin in that order. So I'm going to start with the S&P 500. I'm going to go to NDX, and then I'm going to go to Bitcoin. So the S&P chart that I'm going to be pulling up here is one that I had empty. I'm not going to be looking at ES1. I'm going to be looking just at the straight index, just the SPX index. So we can kind of start from scratch, just kind of talk through a couple things here. And then I'm going to take a look at NDX, which is also going to be a chart that I really haven't pulled up yet. So we're going to be taking a look at those. And I'm going to be pulling up the Bitcoin chart that I have pulled up in the past. Also, just as we're going through the video, if you want access to our Discord, if you're not a member of our Discord, there's a link in the video description. There's a QR code right on the screen. You can click on any of those or scan any of those to get access to the Discord server. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. I've got 26 minutes here. I want to do this in 26 minutes or less. I want to be done by 2 o'clock. So let's see how everything goes. All right, here we are. So we're in the S&P 500, looking okay. This still looks pretty good. So basically, what I've got here, I've got a nice little count here for a 1, and then a little expanded flat into the 2. So let me pull up my toolbar, and let's just go ahead and just map some of this out. So this is a little different than what I originally had. I've got this as now an A, B, C. It's kind of like an expanded flat here for the 1, 2. And of course, from down here on the bottom, I've got a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish off that wave 1. So I've got 5 waves here into the 1. It's a little bit of a diagonal here at the very end. You can count that as a little bit of a diagonal off of that wave 4 going into wave 5. And it seems to work out pretty well. So we've got our first wave there, expanded flat here into wave 2. All right. From there, it looks a little funny. Okay, I still have this counted as a 1, 2. Then what I've got is a 3, 4, 5 to finish that off. All right, so let me pull this down here. Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so we go down up here into wave 3. Then we have our correction, a nice ABC. Now, you've probably seen me count this a couple different ways. A, B, C. I believe that this is actually wave 4 right here. At one point, I had this wave 4 all the way out here, but the problem that I had constantly had with that is this. This didn't make sense. This was not a wave 3, which this would have been a 1, 2, and then working up here, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm actually counting this as the 1, 2, instead of the 4 being over here, and this being the 1, 2, 3. This isn't wave 3 material. This is more like a wave 1 or a wave 5. Makes a lot of sense for this to just kind of grind sideways like this for a long time. So I've got this as the 4, and I've got this as the 1, 2, and I think the 3 is in. We go down, we finish that 4, in my opinion. We finished the 4 on January 29th, the end of January, we finished that 4. It's been rough. It's been rough up here because we've had a deep pullback, then a push up, and then another deep pullback. Okay, but one way or another, I've got a little channel here, and it seems to be supporting this so far. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. I'm going to go to 1 hour just to kind of take a look at this, and we are seeing some support in this. So I've got a top here, I've got a top here, top here, top here, and then I've got this bottom, an expansion to the downside, this bottom, and then again another expansion to the downside. And I really was kind of expecting to see the S&P 500 hit 3770, or sorry, really 3770, 3775, somewhere in that range, and that didn't happen. It didn't happen. Do I think that we have bottomed? Well, I'm not sure that I want to go that far because, again, for me, it's still very possible we do see a little bit of a pop and a drop, back down here into this range before we go up. So have we bottomed right here? I mean, there's a good degree of certainty that would let us believe that that is the case. Again, working from here, we've got this 3. If we've got this 4 completed right here, and I really think that we've got a good candidate for this 4 to be in. So from up here, we've got the nice A, B, C on a lower degree. This looks okay. Still looks okay. So what that means then is we've got a 1, 2. Okay, so let's just measure a couple things here. So, and again, if this is the first time you're watching me, pay attention to the words that I say. Pay attention to what I measure, and then understand why I'm measuring it. Right? So I'm measuring this bottom of wave 4 to this top of my assumed wave 1. All right, let's just look at this. What did we have today? We had a bounce on the 618. Okay, we talk about this kind of stuff pretty frequently. All right, I know we've got a lot in here. I'm going to remove the channel because it's not as important. We've already discussed it. I'm going to remove these lines. These are not important to what we are discussing right now. But we hit the 618 perfectly. Can we come back down here? Oh, absolutely. We absolutely can come back down there. And actually, I would prefer it because I will get back into another long down there if that's what happens. I'm going to remove some of these guys because they're not as important as the 618. All right, I'm going to put the 65 on here. All right, so let's put the 0.65. That's going to be our golden zone. I'm going to label this one, not label it, but I'm going to color this color of gold because this is important. So can we come back down here to 378? I'd love it if we did. I would absolutely love it if we did, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit if we got down there. But what that would do if we got down here to 65, it would close that gap. It would close that gap pretty well. We didn't close the gap here. Now, does that mean we have to? No. We've got plenty of gaps back here, I'm sure, that we haven't filled. Like, for instance, this guy back here. All the way down here, we've got this gap that's not filled. I'm sure there's other gaps, like this gap that's not filled, this gap that's not filled, this gap that's not filled, and I'm sure there are many other examples. So do we have to fill that gap? No. No. It'd be pretty cool if we did, but we don't have to. So what I'm trying to say here is I'm bullish now, right? I was very cautious here, and just yesterday, we had this move up, and we had some people in the Discord saying like, no, we're going into wave 3. I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. And here we are. We came down here. We came to the 618. It's a good move. That's a good move. Okay, so let's pitchfork this. We don't talk about pitchforks very often, but I'm going to throw a pitchfork on this guy from the bottom to the top, and we do the pullback right there. Get the bottom. Now we've got a pitchfork. I'm going to go up to a 3-hour time frame, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So again, we have an 80% probability on a regular pitchfork that we're going to hit this median line at some point. Okay, 80% probability on a 618 pullback that we are going to hit this median. I gotta be bullish here. 80% probability. Those are better odds than you would get in the casino, right? 80% probability we're going to hit this median at some point. That's really good. And I tend to kind of take a look at this from a different type of pitchfork, just to not be too aggressive. But looking left, we've got this guy here, just following him. It goes straight back to this same channel that we've been in. So are we going to maintain inside of this channel? I do think that we will. I've got my wave 5 sitting up here that I'm going to be waiting for. I'm going to pull this guy out a little bit. I really think that we're going to be seeing the S&P 500 over 4,000. I think we're going to see the S&P 500 over 4,200. Now, what is this all dependent on? Okay, so this is the other thing. So I'm going to remove this guy. I'm going to keep my fib on there. All right, what is this dependent on? Well, right now, unfortunately, this is dependent on this pivot down here holding. This is at 36.95, basically. 36.95. If we break down below that, well, then things are going to look a little bad. But really, going back to an hourly time frame here, this looks okay. This looks okay. I see no reason to be super bearish. A nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Get that up in there. Okay? We've got a little bit of compression here. that we have to kind of keep an eye on. It's very, very, very reminiscent of a wave 4. Wave 4 is usually a compression wave, whereas wave 2, wave 2 typically looks a little bit like this. Wave 4 usually looks a little bit like this. And then sometimes you get the triangle before it goes up more. Okay, this is usually your wave 2, this is usually your wave 4. It doesn't have to be like that, but those are the things that we look for. So we have a compression here for wave 4, we go up for wave 5, that means that move is done. Then what do we have? Well, off of that, so far it looks like we've got a deep A, B, and then a C. But what's most important is that wave B went up pretty far, got a lot of bears shaken out, and then we come down. We hit this. Now you've got a lot of bulls that are shaken out. It went up quite a ways, which means when it went down, it didn't go down really, really super deep. But this is definitely reminiscent of a wave 2. All right, so we've got, in my opinion, a wave 1, a wave 2, and then we should be going up basically from here. Okay, now I would love to see 3770 hold. 3770. Let me put that right there. Yeah, right here. I'd love to see this hold. Like for me, this is pretty important to hold, right? Getting down here back into the golden zone, I mean, that would be okay. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. I think it would be healthy for us to come back down here into this golden zone because you had, straight shot down at the open and then a good reaction off of it. I mean, we've had a pretty darn good reaction off of that. You can't deny that we hit that 618 and we pushed right up off of it. So are we now in the middle of a finishing 1-2 and now in a 1-2? Are we in the middle of that? Well, that is to be determined because as of right now, this doesn't really look super impulsive at the moment. All right, even if you go to a 3-minute time frame, sure, you can pull a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, and then we come back down here, right? I mean, we're digging in really, really, really deep here. So, I mean, yeah, if you want to go long, let's just go ahead and throw my EWT on this. We came down here to the 382. I mean, it would be ideal if we came back down here to 38.25, but we don't have to. But really, a nice A, B, C, because again, wave 2, right? If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, we should be seeing that C wave down and likely to the 50, and then we go up from there. But if we start taking out, this level here at 38.52, especially if we take out this level here at 38.61, then I think wave 2 is probably in. But I still think 38.25 is a good place to get long. It's a good place to get long. SPXL, there's a lot of different levered assets that you can get into. I'm not sure that I would trust options right now, just because we have been moving sideways. Options are great for really, really volatile moves. Getting some puts here, riding that would have been fine. Getting some calls down here, I mean, if you're short term, holding this for just like a couple hours, I suppose that's okay. But a lot of people don't do that, which is why I hate recommending options, because people will hold them until they, until they get to like 1,000%. And that means you're basically just going to be holding it forever, and then you're going to end up closing it at a loss, or it's going to expire worthless. So I'm not going to be recommending any options right here, but this still looks pretty bullish. Taking equity positions, which I started to do a couple hours ago. I started to take equity positions because it looked good. And so I'm going to be taking more equity positions later on. Let's just keep on rolling through here. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ, NDX. Let me see if I've got an empty chart here. I'm going to go to a 4-hour. Excuse me. On a 4-hour here, going all the way down here to the bottom. And again, for this, this to me looks very similar to the S&P. 1, 2. Then we've got a big 3, 4. Again, the same 1, 2 that we had in the S&P, and I think we're still working on finishing that 5. All right. The difference here is while the S&P just kind of grinded up ever so slowly, NASDAQ, has it looks a little more impulsive to me. All right. So from this, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and then I see a nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. Put in that 4. I think 4 is, it's pretty close. 4 may not be in yet. on NASDAQ. I think 4 is in on the S&P. I don't know if 4 is in on NASDAQ yet. We'll have to wait and see. Then we go up for wave 5. Let me change the degree on this so that it makes sense. Put in this guy up here. I'm going to change the color on this just for contrast purposes. You hear me say that all the time. We're going to make that one a nice shade of yellow. All right, we're going to change the degree on him as well. Change him to micro. All right, because what I want to do is I want to put a nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that guy. And pull the degree down on him, change the color, again, for contrast purposes. Okay, that looks good. It looks pretty good to me. So, wave 4. Wave 4. Let's measure wave 3. So from the bottom of wave 2 to the top of wave 3, we didn't quite get to this 382. I would have liked to see it come all the way down here to 12,679. If we get to 12,679, that's where I go long on NASDAQ. NASDAQ and the S&P have been moving directionally the same, but they have been moving at a different rate. NASDAQ has been selling off harder than the S&P has. I mean, if you haven't, take a look at Dow Jones. Dow Jones made a new high while S&P was still just trying to make it up. Dow Jones did good a couple days ago, and then it sold off, right? Just like everything else did. But I'm still pretty bullish on this. What's my upside target for NASDAQ? It's actually, let me put this up here, because it's going to be about 16,000 to 16,500. I'm still seeing prices going all the way up there. Okay, so let's measure this. We're going to measure from the bottom of wave 4 to the top of wave 1 to the bottom of wave 2. Okay, and we talk about this all the time. The 175, we hit it. We hit the 175. This is our wave 3, and there's no denying that. Algo City, search my videos, look up Algo City. We see this all the time, This is not a coincidence that we see wave 3 hit at the 175 and we reject from there. Now we look for the 2618, which is going to be right up here at 15,560. So that's going to be my conservative target, 15,000. We'll call it 15,600. That's going to be my conservative target for that wave 5 when it does get in there. Now, we could still correct a little bit more. We're not out of the woods here. But after this correction, and this correction, just for the record, let me just measure this. This correction went down 8% almost, 8% approximately. That's a decent correction, right? What did we have back here? This correction was pretty deep. Yeah, look at that, 14%. Then we had another correction right here. How deep was that? 10%. This guy right here, how deep was that? 6%, right? We had another little correction in here, 6%. This one was a little bit more, right? So 8%. Pretty big pullback. Pretty big pullback. All right. Okay. So now I think this is good. Like I could try and dig into this. I'm not really concerned about this back here because I still believe this is a 1, 2. Then we go all the way up here for wave 3, 4, and then we've got this 1, 2, 3. You can't deny this is a 1, 2, 3. Can't deny it. It looks too good. It looks too good. All right. 1, 2, 3. That 4 potentially is in. Only thing I don't like is the amount of time that this 4 has taken. So very possible this 4 goes along for a while. So it could be that, yeah, we create a bottom here, and then we go back up, and then we go back down, back up, back down before we finally move our way up. One way or another, if we are going to create a triangle, this is going to be the first leg of it, in my opinion. Right? This is going to be your A. Then you go for the B, C, D, E, then we go up. So maybe we do grind sideways for a few weeks. That'd be pretty crazy, especially if you're playing options, right? Talked about this. If you're playing options, sideways markets are bad for options unless you're playing volatile moves intraday. I wouldn't get it on these indexes. These indexes just do not move much. Okay. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin saw a nice stop raid. All right, so I'm going to go back to like a 30-minute time frame here and just kind of take a look at this. I did expect there to be some chop here, and that is exactly what has happened. But let me just show you guys something. This, I'm going to remove a lot of garbage here because I've got a lot of hot garbage on this chart right now. What I want to do is I want to take a look at this. Stop losses. Take a look at this. You've got people that shorted here. What happened? They got raided. right there. You've got people that longed the bottom. They have their stop losses right at the bottom. What happened? They got raided. It was just a stop raid in both directions. So which direction are we going to actually go? Well, I actually think the B is now in, and I also believe that the C is now in. What does this mean? Well, let's take a look at our waves indicator. On the hourly, because it's designed to work on the hourly, look at this buy. Look at this buy down at the very bottom, okay? Like, I say this because I want you guys to understand the importance of this. Not only is the 1 hour and the 3 hour down there, but look at the 12 hour. It is so low. Can we come back down here? Absolutely. And if we get, again, I've got my bid at 43,000 on my spot account. If we get to 43, I mean, I'm buying. I'm buying. I'm not going to use the words all in, but I'm buying down here. I'm buying at 43,000, and I'm just going to let it go. Let it go. Of course, I didn't get filled because this went down to 44,150. But is it possible that we do find ourselves down here again? It is very possible, and I would be very interested in taking positions down here. Okay, are we going to see a pullback? Maybe, maybe. I'm not seeing signs of an impulsive move at the moment. So where could we potentially get a rejection? Well, let me measure the top of our stop hunt to the bottom of our stop hunt. Where are we at? Let's watch and see what happens at 48,900. That could be what takes us down here to this 42,400. 42,400. That would be where the target is if we get a rejection there at the 618. Take the 618 to the 236 extension. Those are the easiest trades to take. Take the 618 to the 236 extension. We did it on Cardano. Let me just show you. We took this on Cardano, and it worked really, really well. All right, what did we take? Let me see if I can find it here. I believe, let me just follow through here. Right there. Right here. I was like, 618. We're going to take this. We're going to get out at 105. We got out at 105. Well, what ended up happening there is we started going sideways, and I was like, you know what? This looks like a compressionary wave 4. Let's get back in. We got back in. We set our targets at 120. What happened? We're at 124 now. But anyway, the 618. Buy the 618, sell the 236 extension. It's the easiest trade to make. Sometimes it's going to be a big trade. Sometimes it's not. But you got to take that 618. And that, my friends, is where I believe we are right now on SPX. Again, we've already talked about this. I'm not going to rehash it because I have now 5 minutes left. We have that 618 pullback. So let's take the trade and let's at least go to the 236 extension. It could take days. It could take weeks. Probably not going to take weeks though. It's probably going to happen within the next 2 weeks. We're gonna be trying to hit that 4,000 to 4,013. Probably 4,000. That's probably where this is going to end up going. If I'm being honest, that's what it looks like. So that's what I'm going to go for. That's what I'm going to shoot for. Okay, guys. It's been fun. It's been fun. I'm going to go ahead and end the video now. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're